In 2008, Portsmouth won the FA Cup while finishing 8th place in the Premier League, managed by Harry Redknapp. But famously, in October 2008, Redknapp moved on to Tottenham Hotspur and Pompey spiralled downwards. Within 2 seasons, they were relegated to the Championship, and 2 seasons on from that, down to League 2 in England. And today, we are looking to rewrite the Pompey history on a 2007-2008 database to see if we can turn the mighty Blues into one of the best clubs in the Premier League era. Now, to kick things off, the team here at Pompey is full of absolute Premier League legends. We have made a 4-2-2 tactic, which we are going to be using throughout today's rebuild. And if we go through it, there is players here that just give me so much nostalgia. David James, Glenn Johnson and Matty Taylor to kick things off. It gets better. Sylvain Distin and Sol Campbell at centre-back. Pedro Mendes, who I've got to say I don't know a lot about, next to Sully Ali Muntari. In 2 cam roles ahead, we have Nico Kranjcar and Nwankanu Kanu, which is unbelievable. And up front, David Nugent and John Utaka, who on this database has 18 acceleration and 18 pace, so it's going to be lights out good. And I'll be real, just this whole Premier League table just reeks of nostalgia and some top tier players. Now, of course, we are playing on the database that has been created by the mad scientist, and all the regen packs we've got and skins and all the bits like that are all created by Mr. Tinney. I will leave a link down to their Patreons down below where you can pick up all of this with the regen packs, etc. I believe Mr. Tinney's for about £5, and I've got to say, it is some of the most fun I've had on Football Manager in a very long time. And part of the fun in this sort of database is signing players and going through and picking out some of the best players that never quite made it, or that we can pick up early before they made it big time and build an absolute super team. So I'm going to make transfers from day one. So let's start off strong. We're going to bring Fernandinho to Pompey before he joined Manchester City. And the best thing is that at this time in his career, he was deemed as a central attacking midfielder or a striker. So we are going to quite literally rewrite Fernandinho. He is no longer this dictating, ball-playing central defensive midfielder. We're going to make him an elite attacking outlet. I'm going to give him 2 new strikers to attempt to play balls through to. Number 1 is Bafétimbi Gomis, signed from Saint Etienne for just 1.7 million at 21 years of age. And number 2 is Shola Amiobi, signed from Newcastle United for just 850k. And to be honest, this is one of the most exciting signings I've ever made in any Football Manager ever. Now, only Fernandinho actually joins into this starting lineup for Pompey, with Kanu dropping down onto the bench. Kanu is technically a striker. I am retraining him to be a cam. He has 5 acceleration and 11 pace, which is horrendous, but his ball playing ability and a technical player, he is simply incredible. So as a cam, he could be really, really good for us. I have gone through and made quite a nice meta tactic on Football Manager. We're using very attacking wing backs. We're using 2 strikers to stretch the pitch. Number 1 being John Utaka, number 2 being David Nugent. 2 cams that are going to roam from position, dribble more and tackle harder in Kranjcar and Fernandinho. Honestly, it's a little bit like a 4-4-2. These 2 are going to drop back and fill in gaps here. And a classic 2008 ball was 4-4-2 before the days of 4-2-3-1, etc. If you want to see more retro rebuilds, let me know in the comments down below and give me some ideas of teams. My next idea is Palermo. They have a strike partnership of Fabrizio Micheli and Edinson Cavani, which could be great fun. If you've got any more, get them down below. Let's see how we get on though in season 1. As mentioned, real life, they come 8th and won the FA Cup. And what it is safe to say that we have created an absolute demon of a tactic, because we are in the Carabao Cup final, or as it's known as back in the day, the Coca-Cola Cup final, where we are facing up against Newcastle United. Now, mistakes were made at the start of this game. Joey Barton was a great player apparently back in the day. Let's not talk about him too much, before finding Macoun to make it 2-0 to Newcastle in 26 minutes. But what we have built here at Pompey is a team that fights for victories, and Primus gets in at the back stick to make it 2-1. And the 90th minute, we are going to show our fight and our passion as Traore whips it in to John Utaka to make it 2-2. But what could make this better? The £850,000 signing of Shola Amiobi, who we signed from Newcastle United to bring a back post header to lift us the trophy. Now, it wasn't quite the FA Cup trophy. In fact, we got knocked out in the 3rd round in this this against Liverpool, which is very, very frustrating. It's not something that I wanted to happen. I was looking to hopefully emulate what they've done in real life, but we have won a trophy, which is fantastic. And in the league, we finished, well, in 8th place, but with a plus 30 goal difference, which is absolutely fantastic. We scored 91 goals, but conceded 61. It seems out we've made a ridiculously attacking tactic, which I'm a big fan of. If we are here playing on a 2007-2008 database, we might as well go absolutely mental. We scored 2.4 goals a game, conceded 1.6, and our top goal scorers this season, but it was Shola Amiobi. Now, I didn't expect this either. He's not exactly a game-breaking striker. He is 6'3". He does have good finishing, but low composure and fairly average speed. I didn't expect Big Shola to be the striker to carry us to 8th place and a trophy this season. I did, however, think that John Utaka would be fantastic, and he is fantastic. 22 goal contributions for him. There was also 16 for Benjani, who was our rotation striker, and a grand total of 21 goal contributions for the attacking version of Fernandinho. I mean, this is just so weird to see Fernandinho as a cam/striker. I mean, let alone it being in a Pompey top. In terms of average rating, it was Fernandinho who was the main starter that played best in the whole 11. Benjani grabbed a 7.28 as well. Linvoy Primus with a 7.18. Laurent as our right back, a 7.14. Actually pipped Glenn Johnson to that starting right wing back role. And I've got to say, his stats are fantastic for it. Great speed, great dribbling, good first touch, good crossing, while being extremely consistent and liking big matches. He is, however, 31 years of age, so we're going to have to look to replace him this summer. And, well, finances here at Pompey are apparently absolutely mental, and these databases give you a lot of money. We have £91 million to spend, which is an absolute dream because we've got no debt on the club whatsoever, and that would be our whole overall balance. Well, we are in the Europa Conference League or UEFA Cup. I don't really understand it because I don't remember there being a UEFA Cup, but maybe they've created one. I'm not too sure. There's the UEFA Cup, and then there's the Euro Cup, which we are in, and we're going to be there. I'm going to see what it is. I believe it's the equivalent of the Conference League. I wasn't aware this was about back in the day. Who knows what we're actually going into? We have got a European competition, though, next season, which is going to be awesome. And as mentioned, the most fun bit about all of this is signing players. I mean, the nostalgia here is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I do fancy myself a little bit of Adel Taarabt at some point. What a baller he was. The streets will never forget. One of the best players to ever grace the Premier League and the Championship. And well, as if I was foreshadowing, I simply couldn't help myself. Adel Taarabt has joined Pompey as a backup central attack midfielder for £10 million. My next signing was Gerard Piqué. No, not from Barcelona, from when he was back at Manchester United. Many people might not know he was at United, but here he is. We've signed him for just £13 million. Obviously, a superstar defender. Will he become one of the best centre-backs the world has ever seen without going over to Spain? If not, it might not be the end of the world because I've also brought in Joleon Lescott, who back in the day was a top-tier centre-back and is going to come in as one of the best in the side. My next signing is Fabrice Mbeumo, joining from Birmingham. Obviously, at 20 years of age, Fabrice Mbeumo was tipped to be one of the hottest prospects in Premier League football. Sadly, had a massive heart issue on the pitch, and what a player he was before that happened, and he's gone on to be like a very good spokesperson for football and for heart issues and bits like that. So Fabrice Mbeumo is here at Pompey. I'm going to see if we can get him a Premier League trophy. Next up, we move on to our right back position, where I have signed Ryan Taylor from Aston Villa. Ryan eventually ended up at Newcastle. He was a top tier right back. We've brought him to Pompey at 23 years of age. He is England's starting right back. What an alternate universe this is. But now we move on to the striking positions. And number one, I've just mentioned we're going to be doing a Palermo rebuild coming up soon. Fabrizio Micheli joins the club for just £4 million. And just look how good he is. And the striker to potentially partner him up front is going to be Dean Ashton. Dean Ashton retired early in his career after playing for West Ham United and was an electric goal scorer. He was so fun to watch. My dad was a West Ham fan, and I've got so many videos of like the FA Cup goals of 2010 or 8 or 9. And Dean Ashton was an absolute bagsman. It quite simply says here, he's a powerful striker, and with a 17 composure, his great finishing, he just knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. The signings do go on and on. I've made 3 more. Number 1 is Ayila Yusuf coming in from Dynamo Kiev. And my next 2 are both goalkeepers. Number 1 being Artur Buruc coming in from Celtic at 28. And the second being Hugo Lloris, signed from Nice, who is going to back up Artur Buruc for a season or 2 before coming our starting goalkeeper as we look to push on to the top of the Premier League table. Now, of course, that does mean there is a lot of brand new signings in this Pompey side, and this is how it is currently looking, with Dean Ashton and John Utaka having a dual threat spearhead up front. Looks fantastic. I am keeping Nico Kranjčar in this Pompey team for the whole rebuild. He is like such a streets won't forget cam, similar to Adel Tarabt, and was one of my reasons for choosing Pompey. He was going to be on the thumbnail. You'll see he was on the thumbnail. Well, you already said he was on the thumbnail. I had to put it on the thumbnail, but Nico Kranjčar was going to be that guy. What a cam he was, and hopefully we can lift some trophies with him. Next to him is Fernandinho, who had a great season last year, with Montari and Yusuf in DM being a nice strong base of the team. Matty Taylor and Ryan Taylor, the 2 Taylors, bombing it down the wings and whipping in balls to our strikers, with Jolyon Lescott and Sol Campbell as centre-back, with currently Hugo Lloris in goal, but as mentioned, most likely going to be Artur Buruc. Our backups are Lloris, Johnson, Distan, PK and Mark Reynolds, with Pedro Mendes and Fabrice Muamba in DM. Adel Tarabt making up our cam backups, with Shola Amiobi and Fabrizio Micheli also making the striking backups. It does look like there was some sort of Euro Cup thing back in the day. It was Sevilla and Espanyol who got to the final in real life in 05-06. In this save, 07-08, Reading won against Palermo. Another team we potentially could do in this retro database is Reading, because, I mean, they had some proper players back in the day, like Kevin Doyle up front. But yeah, it looks like this is a full-on competition that we are looking to try and win. In the Premier League, we are predicted in and around that 9th place again, level with Everton all the way up to 6th. Manchester United being favourites, managed by Jose Mourinho, is mental. Sir Alex Ferguson has already just sacked it all off as a manager and gone into the director of football role at Manchester United, which I fully respect. So Mourinho has chosen Manchester United over Chelsea, whose team is absolutely mental, with Shevchenko and Drogba up front. Liverpool with the front 4 of Joaquin, Matias Fernandes, Ryan Babel and Fernando Torres, managed by Rafa Benitez. A dual base there of Xabi Alonso and Steven Gerrard. Arsenal with Eduardo and Van Persie up front. Arda Turan, Moraes, Francesc Fabregas and Belushi in midfield. Newcastle have Michael Owen up front. I mean, we all know he was an absolute bagsman back in the day as well. 20 finishing on him, by the way. That could be a very fun rebuild to do. Everton with many players, Willian, Tim Cahill in there, Blaise Matuidi, Phil Neville. What a team. Spurs, I was very tempted by Dimitar Berbatov, Jermaine Genius, Aaron Lennon, Zakora, McFadden, and especially this man, who I think one day we're going to have to bring to Pompey at left back. But for now, let's get into season number 2. We are looking to lift a couple more trophies, the FA Cup. Well, let's try and bring it to Pompey in 2009. Our form to start this season was absolutely incredible, with John Utaka being a goal-scoring machine. Our first loss this season came in September in a tight 1-0 to Manchester United, and our second against Arsenal 1-0 in October, and it really showed the quality we had built at Pompey was good enough to challenge some of the best teams in the league. In the Euro Cup, we finished on 18 points with a convincing 6 wins from 6, beating ACF Gloria, SK Rapid, Dundee United, Rosenborg, Racing and Braga, and got all the way to the final where we faced up against Eden Hazard's Lille. In just 30 seconds, Dean Ashton had put us 1-0 up, but Lille were a team that weren't just complete with Eden Hazard. They had some top quality players, including striker Euler, who scored to make it 1-1 in 44 minutes, and within 30 seconds, he had made it 2-1, and we were losing in the Euro Cup final, which wasn't ideal, as this could be our only way to secure European football next season. Fernandinho picks up the ball though in the cam roll in the 62nd minute, and he whips it into Big John Utaka, who finishes at home to make it 2-2. And 5 minutes later, that man John Utaka stepped up once again. A ball whipped in, it falls to Matty Taylor, and he heads it home to make it 3-2. I've completely misread the situation. I thought John Utaka grabbed a brace. But anyway, a 3-2 victory against Lille, and a convincing one at that as well. When you look at the stats the tactic we've created is completely and utterly dominating. This save file and the tactic is all going to be available on the save file on the Patreon down below. It is the first link in the description. It costs £5 a month to get access to all the tactics and rebuilds we create here, and you can join the 1,800 members who are part of the Kempi army. First link in the description, and they'll help out support me as well as continue this fantastic content. Sadly, in terms of the FA Cup, it was a very similar story to last year. In fact, a worse story. Third rounded this time to Aston Villa. And it was a pretty poor attempt at bringing back our English League Cup, as well as we lost to Manchester United in the 4th round. But we had built an absolutely fantastic team, and that you can see from the Premier League table. We have finished in 2nd place on 76 points, 10 points behind Arsenal on 35 goal difference. We were absolutely fantastic this season, and the best thing that I find in this is we didn't even have like a dominating goal scorer where there was 40 goals from one striker. It was pretty well spread out. Jordan Tucker grabbed 27 goals and 7 assists, while Dean Ashton grabbed 20 and 6 assists. Adel Tarapt was a fantastic signing. He grabbed 13 goals and 5 assists and contributed a lot more than I thought he would. Sol Campbell grabbed 13 goals from corners, while Matty Taylor from left back grabbed 11 goals and 11 assists. Fernandinho, another ridiculous season, 9 goals and 14, and then loads of assists from Ryan Taylor down here as well, with Nico Kranja also grabbing 19 goal contributions and just being an absolute superstar. I mean, overall, the team and tactic is working an absolute dream. Having the front four all have full green arrows is fantastic. Our 2 DMs as well, having the green arrow is brilliant. And at centre-back, Joleon Lescott is rotating in and out with Sylvain Distin and Gerard Piqué, the 2 that do sit there normally. Distin and Campbell has also got a full green line. So the whole team is working at a supreme level, which is why we're able to have such good consistency in the league and eventually sort of fall off in the middle part, which was a bit of a shame, but done really well to the point when we did come 2nd in the Premier League, win the Euro Cup, and really shows that we have got strides and ability to move on to become Premier League champions. Now, financially, not being in the Champions League does take a big hit on a club. We obviously built up loads of money and spent then about 100 million, and winning the Euro Cup doesn't quite give you the same balance as being in the Champions League gives you. So we have only got £43 million to spend this summer, so maybe a little bit of a back burner one, but let's see what superstars we can bring in. Well, there was only 4 signings in this summer, and number 1 was a complete and utter bargain, a £625,000 signing of Darren Fletcher, who we are retraining to be a solid defensive midfielder. Second up is a centre-back that I personally have never heard of, but it's Lukas Sinkovic, who is extremely consistent. He loves big matches and plays for Bayer Leverkusen, or played for Bayer Leverkusen in real life. His picture is absolutely brilliant. He's got great determination, great teamwork, great defensive stats, and is 6'4". And well, there's not really much else that I can say about this man. It's Julio Baptista. This guy was an absolute legend on early FIFA Ultimate Teams, and of course Football Managers back in the day was a top tier cam. Before going to Real Madrid in the sort of 2008 era, this guy was still at Sao Paulo, and he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I am buzzing to bring him into the club. He is consistent, decent speed, but mainly we know he can hit a ball from some super distance and score some screamers. And my final signing is the ridiculously paced Jimmy Brion, signed from Stade Rennais. He has 19 acceleration, 18 pace, and 17 finishing, while being elite consistently and being good in big matches. He is 5'11", he attempts overhead kicks, and Jimmy Brion is going to be an absolute joy to watch in this Pompey team. Now, he doesn't quite break into the starting lineup because, to be honest, I don't want to change this front four a single bit. In DM, Youssef and Fletcher are going to be the duo we go with Matty Taylor and Ryan Taylor keeping their wing-back positions, Lescott and Sinkovic keeping it at the centre-backs, with Boric in goal. The team is strong. We've just finished 2nd in the Premier League, and now I think we can carry on battling for that Premier League title, while now also being in the Champions League. And of course, we need to pick up that illustrious FA Cup trophy. And well, it's not quite the FA Cup, but we do find ourselves once again in the Carabao Cup final, this time against Arsenal, where Belushi gets them off to a fantastic start, making it 1-0, before a pretty comical own goal as Kolo Touré sticks it in the back of the net for us, poking it past Fabianski in goal. but luck wasn't entirely on our side. We do actually end up losing to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final as Royce whips the ball in to Theo Walcott to make it 2-1. I imagine he is absolutely ridiculous in this match engine. He does have 19 pace, 19 acceleration, and at just 21 years of age is going to go on to be an absolute hero for Arsenal. And well, not only did Arsenal cause us issues in the Carabao Cup final, they also caused us issues in the Premier League and in the Champions League. In the first leg at Fratton Park, we lost 3-2 to Arsenal in the quarterfinals, and away from home at the Emirates, we lost 2-0, meaning a 5-2 loss on aggregate in the quarters of the Champions League. And they pipped us to second place in the Premier League as well on 82 points. We finished on 81, our best points tally yet, but Chelsea won the league on 86 points. And they have done absolute bits. Manchester United last season dropped all the way down to 8th place, have just finished 5th, and they've still got Cristiano Ronaldo. So I don't quite know what's going on there, but Mourinho is just not getting the best out of this United team. And to be honest, we could do with that for going on for as long as possible, because the longer they are performing to their best, the longer we can compete for a Premier League trophy. Now, the season this year was ridiculous. We had 3 players in the top goal scorers charts: John Utaka, Dean Ashton and Julio Baptista, and the aforementioned Kevin Doyle finished in second place. Julio Baptista also won the average rating at 7.54. He was absolutely ridiculous. He cost us £7.5 million and got 36 goal contributions in 51 games. And to be honest, this season, we just absolutely balled out. We scored so many goals. Dean Ashton scoring 26, John Utaka 25, Baptista 24, Jimmy Brion 34 goal contributions, which is just shy of Julio Baptista, the second most. Fernandinho grabbed 20, Nico Kranjčar grabbed 20, Matty Taylor grabbing 24, Glenn Johnson grabbing 23, and Ryan Taylor also grabbing 24 goal contributions. The wing backs on attack are absolutely dangerous, and they are providing so many issues for teams. And often a lot of teams in this system and back in the day are playing 4-4-2s or 4-3-3s, and we are just bullying them out wide because we are able to play these intricate little triangles and whip balls in, and our 2 strikers are just absolute bagsmen. Now, financially, that season done absolute wonders for us. We now have over £180 million in the bank and a dirty little transfer budget of £102 million. So yes, I'm about to go absolutely mental on the transfers. So of course, this is the year Gareth Bale joins Pompey. As a 20-year-old out-and-out left-back, we're going to make Gareth Bale the best attacking wing-back the world has ever seen. And while he's bombing up the pitch, I suppose Vincent Kompany can sit in and help protect the defensive line. What a signing this is from Hamburg before he goes to Manchester City. And our final signing is a proper throwback in Nilmar. This guy is outrageously good. 4.5 stars, extreme consistency, great in big matches, and just look at them stats. This guy is going to be simply fantastic in the Premier League. Now, of course, them 3 signings all come straight into the team. It's now Nilmar and Ashton up front. Kranjčar, Julio Baptista, Yusuf and Fletcher make up the midfield, with Gareth Bale and Glenn Johnson on the wing backs, with Julian Lescott, Vincent Kompany and Hugo Lloris taking that starting goalkeeping position for season number 4, where we are, of course, in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup and League Cup. With the sheer amount of money we have now spent, I mean, we have turned Pompey into a complete and utter monopoly. We have spent 200 million and only raised about 50. So £150 million spent, which has now got Pompey to be the 5th best team in the Premier League. I mean, Pompey fans, at this point, I think you were down to the Championship, potentially already going down to League One. I'm sure you'd rather take this and this absolutely ridiculously star-studded side. So let's see if we can compete on all 4 fronts in season number 4. Well, this season, once again, our Premier League form was absolutely outrageous, especially in the second half of the season. Throughout the month of January, we scored over 30 goals, and through February, it wasn't too many less. We were on a beautiful run of form until we got all the way to the Champions League quarters, where we were sadly knocked out to Inter Milan, who beat us 6-2 on aggregate. And I mean, this is an Inter Milan side who is spearheaded by a certain Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I mean, the more and more I look through this database, the more and more excited I am to give this database a proper go. I mean, this team is just an absolute joke. What a side they have built here at Inter. They've knocked us out in the quarters. So the Champions League is going to be the goal for season number 5. But that didn't mean we were going to leave season 4 without any trophies, as once again we are in the English League Cup. We were looking to get our trophy back. I mean, we went 1-0 up against Liverpool thanks to an own goal from Naldo. But in this game, it was, first half was close. We're going to finish it off at 1-1. This game is just absolutely mental and shows what a team we have built and what a dynasty we have potentially built for years to come here at Portsmouth. We see a great ball in there from Gareth Bale to the near post run of Glenn Johnson, which makes absolutely zero sense to give us the 2-1 lead. We then see Glenn Johnson on the far side again, whipping it in for Fernandinho in the box to make it 3-1 Pompey. And we're not going to give up. We're going to score a few more goals. Adel Tarapt finds Matty Taylor on the edge of the box. The ball bounces back and he finishes home to make it 4-1 in 50 minutes. How does a fifth sound? Matty Taylor, backstick. Gerard Piqué still at the club with that header to make it 5-1. And how does a sixth sound? Against Liverpool, Nico Kranjar finds the incredible speed of Jerry Brion to make it 6-1. Which was our final goal in a dominating 6-2 victory where we absolutely smashed this pretty incredible Liverpool side. So rightfully, I was confident heading into the FA Cup final against Liverpool. And well, how silly was that? As we lost 1-0 thanks to Fernando Torres' header, which means the FA Cup still eludes us and we haven't won it going into the 5th and final year. And when it comes to the Premier League, I said exactly what I didn't want to happen has eventually happened. Manchester United have found their form. All 4 players in the average rating, Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlos Tevez, Andres Guardado and Wayne Rooney are all Manchester United's. We may have had the top goal scorer in Nilmar on 24, outscoring Carlos Tevez on 22, but 23 assists apiece for Ronaldo and Andres Guardado gives them the title on 96 points, while we come second on 83, which means for the 5th season we need to close down a 13-point gap or hope that United somehow fall off under Jose Antonio Camacho. We need them to sell some players because this team is a bit of a problem and Guardado seems to be one of the best left midfielders I've ever seen. But when it comes to goal scorers, I'm not sure there's many teams out there which has a more dangerous 4 strikers than us. Nilmar, Dean Ashton, John Utaka and Jimmy Briand scored a grand total of exactly 100 goals this season between the 4 of them. What a quartet we have got up front. Fernandinho and Julio Baptista both grabbed double-figure goals and double-figure assists, while Gareth Bale grabbed just the 24 assists playing at left-back for us. I mean, he's done all right there, hasn't he? He's pretty good, this Gareth Bale geezer. Maybe he'll go on to win a Ballon d'Or. And I mean, Ryan Taylor, 21 assists. I mean, he's doing just as well. I mean, if you guys are going to pick up this retro database and give this a play, compare Ryan Taylor to Gareth Bale. It's actually scary how good Ryan Taylor performs in the match engine, even though he looks so much worse. Just showing there are certain things on FM which are just broken. He's good pace, he's got good corners, he's got good crossing, and I mean, extreme consistency and love of big matches. He's quite literally England's right back. And I mean, in real life, he was just mid at Newcastle. I mean, that could be a complete violation to Ryan Taylor. But he's just bagged 21 assists here. And he's competing with big Gareth Bale. We've got a 7.35. That is outrageously good. And Nilmar still beats him on a 7.37. What a season we have had there. I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing. Even Dean Ashton grabbing 32 goals. We are sitting as the 2nd best team in England. And financially, we spend a lot of money. But because we're now got no debt and we are just having fantastic Champions League runs, we make a lot of money. We've got another £120 million in the bank. And we are just going to do this for 5 seasons, this rebuild. As at the end of that 5 seasons, in real life, Pompey got all the way down to League 2. Can we, though, do an absolute madness and potentially try and win a treble in season number 5? rather than them getting relegated to League Two. So for that to be possible, I knew we had to spend big, but also spend smart. And Rafael from Fluminense was my first signing at right back before he went to Manchester United. Now I've got to say, I tried to find his brother Fabio because it just felt wrong splitting them up. Couldn't find him anywhere. I couldn't find his name. I couldn't find him at Fluminense. Couldn't find him in the Brazilian national team. So sadly, we've split the brothers up. But Rafael, with his 20 determination, has joined Manchester United at Portsmouth. I've then brought in Nigel de Jong in to be a new central defence midfielder for us. I mean, Nigel de Jong is an absolute legend. I've actually spoken to him in real life, which is pretty hilarious. I told him I didn't like him because he played for Manchester City, which went on like a business meeting call. Isn't the best thing you can do to someone. But here he is, big Nigel de Jong, now at Pompey. Our penultimate signing for this rebuild is Michael Dawson, joining from Tottenham Hotspur, bringing in an English centre-back with extreme consistency, great strength, jumping reach, and defensive stats is perfect. And for my final signing, it had to be Freddie Adu joins Pompey. And this Freddie Adu hasn't failed as a wonder kid. This Freddie Adu, I mean, wow. What a player we have here. As an attacking midfielder, he's got the speed, 17 dribbling, 16 first touch, 16 passing, 16 technique, 17 flair, 17 vision. I think this guy could literally get 30 assists this season. I wouldn't be surprised. And he does come straight into the starting lineup with Nico Kranjčar in cam. Dean Ashton and Nilmar up front is still the strike partnership. Darren Fletcher and Nigel de Jong in DM is exactly what we need to facilitate our attacking wing-backs of Glenn Johnson and Gareth Bale. Michael Dawson and Vincent Kompany are just in front of Hugo Lloris. Pompey are on a charge. The Premier League, the Champions League. We need to win the FA Cup, and the English League Cup stand as the trophies to win this season. We're going to start this off with the heartbreak. We lost in the English League Cup semi-finals in a 2-1 aggregate loss to Arsenal. Despite absolutely dominating them in the home leg, we just couldn't get that final goal. So when we played them in the FA Cup semi-final, we knew what we had to do. We had to score more than one. And in fact, we had to score, we'll let it play out. Yusuf scores the first, a screamer from the edge of the box, making it 1-0, and Dean Ashton scores a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just 6 minutes into this game, and Arsenal, they're getting taught a lesson. Nilmar finds Dean Ashton. What a goal that is. A volley at the edge of the box, finding the top corner. Arsenal then tried to build up from the back. No thank you. Fletcher, Freddie Adu, Gareth Bale, Dean Ashton, Bosch. Hat-trick, first half, 4-0. We'll get up to the 96th minute. We're going to have a fifth and final as all the boys run forward, but Fernandinho finds Julio Baptista to send us to the final of the FA Cup. A trophy we somehow haven't won yet. And this was the big one. It was up against Manchester United, and it's a game we needed to win. Sinkovic, the German centre-back we signed in season number 2, scores to make it 1-0, and Nico Kranjčar finds Fernandinho to make it 2-0. But the game, it's not over. Manchester United score from the spot as Owen Hargreaves in 57 minutes. We then pick up a red card, and in the 94th minute, Owen Hargreaves is going to grab an FA Cup final brace. We could have even said a penalty there going to Tevez, but we don't. Dean Ashton scores the first penalty as this game goes to pens, but Klaas-Jan Huntelaar misses for United, while we score the rest in a 5-3 penalty victory, and we beat Manchester United in the FA Cup. So that is one trophy down, and we have our eyes firmly set on the Champions League. In the league phase, it's quite cool to see this because we can see the big teams in now 2012-13, if I'm correct. Lyon, Palermo, Man City now here, Roma, Pompey, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Manchester United. And we're going straight to the round of 16. Well, we were faced up against Inter Milan, an Inter Milan team with Cristiano Ronaldo on the wings. But luckily enough for us, over 2 legs, Gareth Bale at left back silenced Cristiano Ronaldo, and we beat them 4-0 on aggregate, including that screamer from Julio Baptista to make it 1-0, and the second at Fratton Park, the Pompey Stadium, Darren Fletcher firing home to send us to the quarterfinals and give us a pretty tough draw. Well, that's what I thought, because we were drawn up against Roma, who had Sergio Aguero up front. But to be honest, we absolutely battered them. Now, this first leg at half-time was 0-0, and then we just turned on the smoke. Nigel de Jong finds a great ball there for Dean Ashton to make it 2. And we ended up finishing the game 5-0 winners, securing our spot in the semi-finals, where we'll be facing a pretty ridiculous Bayern Munich team with a front three of Sami Nasri, Franck Ribéry and Miroslav Klose. And in the first leg at Fratton Park, Bayern Munich ran away 1-0 leaders thanks to a header from Miroslav Klose. But we had a striker of our own in Dean Ashton, who away from home at the Allianz Arena made it 1-0 from a free kick in 24 minutes before half-time, grabbing his second and the final of the tie as he sends Pompey to the final of the Champions League. We'll be facing up against Italian giants Lazio, who did end up taking a 1-goal lead in the first half, thanks to a goal from Mudin Gayi finding the top corner. But to be honest, I've got no idea how they took a 1-0 lead and no idea how they even got to the final. Their team was pretty average, whereas us, we were built strong. John Utaka scored in 42 minutes before Glenn Johnson finds Fernandinho, and look at all them players waiting in the box. He doesn't need any of them. He fires it into the top corner to make it 2-1. Xherdan Shaqiri on the ball, dallying, silly man. John Utaka picks it up and fires it home for 3-1. A man who has been at the club for now over 5 seasons from the very start. Yusuf to cap things off though, finds Glenn Johnson down that right wing again, into Utaka, sets it back to Nilmar, and Pompey are Champions League winners, and we do the FA Cup and Champions League double. The only thing left to do is lift that Premier League. And level on points with Arsenal was just enough on goal difference to win the Premier League title on 84 points. Manchester United losing Cristiano Ronaldo pretty much done what it done in real life in the end, put them down to 7th place, but Pompey have won the Premier League. In real life, 5 seasons put them down in League 2. Today, we have turned them into Premier League, Champions League and FA Cup winners. If anyone wants this save file, as mentioned, it is linked down the Patreon down below. But before I go, I've got to show you some of these stats. I mean, Nilmar, 42 goal contributions. Jimmy Briand, 31 goal contributions. Dean Ashton, 37 goal contributions, and Freddie Adu grabbing 30. We also see Fernandinho with 29, Nico Kranjcar with 24, Gareth Bale with 23. The team we built here at Pompey was absolutely fantastic, and I would not change a thing. If you want to see more retro rebuilds, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know which teams as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.